So, we're going to get into some really fun stuff today. Jill is such a wizard at gathering human beings and lighting things on fire in the best way, mostly in people's hearts and in a realm of possibility, and then helping people quit their boring day jobs and do their own thing. And we're going to talk about some of the specific, most exciting ways she's been growing her own business and her whole team lately. But before we dive in, since it's maybe the first time people are hearing from you, even though you've been on the podcast before a couple times, why don't you just talk a little bit about your transformation journey, where you were going from the typical 9 to 5, and then what the light bulb was and what you started to see as possible.
Want to know what the most ironic thing is both Josh and I have never had a 9 to 5.
You were a bartender, right?
Yeah. So I like a different kind of 9 to 5, 9 p.m. till 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Opposite. But yeah, it just we were never those people who ever fell into that. I think both of us knew straight out of the gate that was not the option for us. That was not the life for us, much to my mom's dismay. Like I remember, because I used to, in my 20s, I wanted to be on TV and like be a TV broadcaster and all the things. And my mom would call me so often and be like, please, Jill, please just get a job. You could be behind the scenes. You could be in production. I was like, who are you talking to right now? Like, I do not want to be behind the scenes.
It's so funny you said that, because I was talking about you being on here the other day yesterday. I was doing a Q&A in here, and I was like describing your personality. I'm like, she's like the kind of person who could have been a VJ on MTV when that was like a thing. And then you're like, yeah, you actually have that
20s goals.
I know.
There's a show, a station here called Much Music in Toronto in Canada.
Yes.
And I went on to their like battle of the VJs to like try and be like,
I see it. I just so see it. So you went on to create the Screw community. Yeah. Just tell everybody what that is for a second.
Yeah. So we got started because when I first met Josh, I was still bartending. Like I was involved in web TV. And this is like the days of MySpace, bros. Like this is old school when web TV was not a thing and sponsors wouldn't touch us. But I created this show called 20 something. And it was like The View meets Sex in the City for girls and women in their 20s. And then that spun off into a travel show I was doing with one of my co-hosts from 20 something called Jill and Stacey Do the Roo, which was like an Australian travel show. But that got sponsored. So that was what was taking us to Australia. And I met Josh right before I was moving, and he had his own online business, and it was so new to me. I had no clue. So he was really my first mentor. Funny enough, he taught me the ropes. And I was watching him make all this money, not really working online, having all this freedom, doing all these travels. And I was like, how do I do some of this? And so I started pitching the owners of the bars that I would work at to let me manage their social media. And I got like 3 clients. I was so pumped. I was making more money than I ever had as a bartender. And I was watching Josh kill it, and I was slaving away like on Twitter, like talking nonstop. And I was just disenchanted with it after about a year or so. And he was getting disenchanted with his business. And he was like, well, do you want to start a site together? I was like, yes. He's like, we should start an affiliate site, a skincare affiliate site. And I was like, I'm in. What's an affiliate site though? So he very much walked me through it. And so that was our first business together, was a skincare affiliate site. And if you don't know what affiliate marketing is, it's essentially you are the connector between the merchant and your audience. And so you are the go-between. And if someone clicks your link and makes a purchase, which is tracked, you get a commission. And so we got that site up to making like $3,000, $3,500 a month. And then just start replicating the process until we had 30 different sites. People started asking us how we were doing, what we were doing, like, how are you making money? You drug dealers? Like, what's going on here? And so it was actually on our wedding week that we had the idea to do Screw the 9 to 5. And that was back in the beginning of 2013. And it's just been like a journey of throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks, cutting what doesn't, amping up what does, and really like just trying to tune into what feels light. And,
so you got your affiliate marketing up to making like $100,000 a month almost.
No, but we capped out at about 14,000. Like 14, not all our side not all
Okay.
our sites were wins, that's for sure.
But that's
But it
still
taught us.
amazing,
Yes,
right? For
it was
people to
huge.
hear like, oh, I don't have to make a product. I don't have to do
Have customer
anything.
service,
I just
no
have to.
fulfillment. You just have to send traffic, and we could do it from anywhere. So we were building those all over Southeast Asia while we were traveling around, and it was so rad. So,
Okay, that is
um,
really rad. And what's really cool to know is that that was just the beginning of the story.
yeah,
Because here you were making 14,000, you said, a month doing affiliate stuff. And then you started your own brand, Screw the
yeah.
9 to 5. And what happened then?
Well, like in the beginning, a lot of ugly crying. Let's just keep it real. It was actually quite a journey for us until probably like 2015 was when we really, so we had 2 years that felt like, oh my God, is this ever going to work? And
And
we
the
started a
idea, just to be
podcast and
clear,
a free group.
the idea was to help other people learn how to do that affiliate marketing, right? So they could be off the grid and they could be in Australia or
Yes,
wherever they wanted to
you would
be.
you would think that we would have done that in the beginning because that's the most straightforward no-brainer thing, but we did not think like that at the time. We were like, you know what, we should teach guest posting for SEO purposes. Like we had no clue. We had no clue. We had never built a personal brand. We had never really taught anything online. Like we were so green. And so our first program called Badass Guest Blogging sold zero. Like literally no one bought it. And that was our lesson to start teaching what we knew and start teaching affiliate marketing. And from there, things started to roll for us. And we
And
started a free group. And then that really blew up for us. And then we started a membership and that started to roll. That's how we really started clocking some serious wins. And
yeah,
then
your membership got up to like 40,000, or your Facebook group got up to like 40,000 people,
yeah,
right? And then your
45,000.
membership started making like seven, like crazy amount of
Hundreds of
money.
thousands. Yeah. So
And yeah.
it capped out at like, by the time we closed it, it was like 330 a year, 330,000 a year. And we
Yep.
made the decision after we had a tiny human who knew that they cause you to readjust your priorities. The year that we had our son, we realized like this was no longer in alignment with our values and how we wanted to run our business. And so we shut down every single paid offer that no longer served us in an attempt to get back in line with our values and in back into a business that felt light versus heavy and didn't feel like we had to be on or time zone dependent in order to build something that mattered to us.
Mhm.
And so we spent all of 2019 just promoting other people's programs, again, circling back to affiliate marketing, kind of full circle moment for us. And then this year we really found our groove. We figured out our next moves, our next steps, created a boot camp that we love doing. It's one of our favorite things that we do called Course Creators Boot Camp. And then our signature program, which is called the Live Launch Accelerator. And then we have a membership again, which is also something I said I would never do. And then restarted another membership site called the Course Creators Lounge.
So it's so cool. And as you can see, you guys, like everybody is on the journey of, figuring it out as we go. You take messy action
Yeah.
and you just keep getting the next clue and the next clue and the next clue. So what I want to ask you about is we have a lot of people in our community who they want to create more visibility.
Yeah.
There might be interested in 5-day challenges because they have an idea that launching, right? They've heard this idea like you need to launch, right?
Yeah.
And maybe a 5-day challenge is a good thing. We should talk about pop-up groups. And they want to have an offer at the end of the 5-day challenge. And so a lot of people in our space are coming up with programs that they want to create. They want to create this program for people who want to lose weight. They want to create a program for people who want to get over postpartum. They want to create a program for people who want to just learn how to paint, right? All kinds of things. Have you found in the journey of all different, getting your hands all over the different ways to make money online, that people having courses or programs is indeed one of the most, or the thing that winds up being most lucrative? Or do you feel like there's other aspects that are just as shiny?
I absolutely think it's the most highly leverageable thing you can do, hands down, because you can create it once, sell over and over and over and over and over again. Now, like launch versus evergreen, that's so up to your like personal style. I personally love like the excitement of launches. I know you do as well, Kathy. Like you love your
Yeah.
challenges. We love our boot camps. Like that was our biggest win of 2020, hands down, was discovering paid boot camps, like essentially paid challenges. We just call them boot camps. and incorporating my mindset coaching. Like that was hands down my biggest win of 2020 personally. But we love that element of live, right? However, we are also developing like an evergreen system to get customers 24/7. Because here's the thing, if your business is reliant on launch periods, well, then if you have one launch that doesn't really perform as well as you thought it was going to be, now you're back into a place of push, maybe feeling a bit financially desperate or heavy or
Mhm.
scarce. And so I love when course creators or coaches even, or membership site owners, even personal brands really can have this like stealthy, dangerously effective way of getting customers 24/7, and then use your launches to upgrade them into higher tier offers or higher ticket offers. And so that's
Mhm.
what we really do. We have a thing called Course Creators Funnel, which kind of teaches that process of like how course creators can create this 24/7 like sales process to get
Yeah.
customers. And then when you go to do your launch period, it's like boom, and you get way bigger results in a shorter amount of time. And then we do all of that through pop-up groups, like you were saying.
So, I mean, to my mind, like me personally, and you and I go back and forth about this all the time because I feel like you're such a ninja with online marketing. And I really kind of like shied away from funnels and because it feels so not me, like not my
Mhm,
style. It feels automated. It feels right.
mhm.
And I think one of my gut feelings is that it's really, especially in the beginning, to just dial in your signature sauce. Like before
Yes.
you set something on auto, like
Yes.
make sure it's
Agreed.
ironclad. Everyone loves it. You've delivered it over and over again. So now you can kind of like set it and forget it.
Yes.
And truth be told, even my friends who have really, really pro evergreen stuff, like Susie Moore, who
Mhm.
she's so good at it. She spends a ton on Facebook ads every month, a
Oh,
ton.
for sure.
And even what she makes back, what I'm able to make in a live launch is many times that. And it's not
Mhm.
because she's not amazing. She's one of the best at it. I think it's just that where energy goes, attention flows. And
100%.
so there's something about that live launching that I think is just, it's just so powerful. And so you're so great at it, and you've kind of sweetened it by actually charging for it. Like you found a way to take that live launch, and in and of itself, you've already made money just doing the
Mhm.
live launch. And then there's an offer at the end. Let's talk about launching using
Mhm.
pop-up groups, how we can make that happen. If you're just starting and you
Yeah.
want to make one of those, you want to do one in January, let's say, how can we wrap our mind around what it is and how to get started?
Okay, cool. So, to me, a pop-up group is intentional, it's purposeful, it's finite, and it's centered around a promotion. And so that looks very different to a free group that is open 24/7. Like the free Facebook groups I used to have did not have like a specific purpose to them. It was just a community building effort, similar to like building an audience, right? And so, and also at that time, Facebook groups were new. They were like they weren't all the rage at that point, so they were super new. So I'm always a fan of creating these like finite experiences for people. That's what I think really drives home the punch of a launch, is when you can turn it into like this all encompassing, supportive, high on the results,
Totally.
high on the feels, high on the hype experience for people, whether it's free or paid. The reason we choose to go paid is because we ran free challenges in the beginning and we just didn't have the buy-in from people. They wouldn't show up the whole way through. They wouldn't implement what we were talking about, and therefore they weren't really getting results. And it was annoying to us, at least. And we didn't really have skin in the game. As people started to drop off, we'd be like, I'm bored, right? But as we started putting a ticket price on it, which started as 37 and then went up to 47, well, people show up for that. They show up every day to every
Wow.
call. They do the work because we have a one-page blueprint that's like the center of our boot camp process. And so they have skin in the game. And because they have skin in the game, we have skin in the game. And so everyone wins. And so whether you choose to do free or paid, just realize like the main intention of these pop-up groups is to help people get a result on one particular like micro promise, right? So just to keep it meta, I'll use ours as an example. So ours is called the Course Creators Bootcamp. And the reason we created that challenge essentially is because our ultimate play is the live launch accelerator, where we teach people how to sell their course using pop-up groups challenges and all that. But I know that in order for someone to say yes to the Live Launch Accelerator, well, they sure should need an offer to sell. And so the Course Creators Bootcamp is helping them create and design their offer, get it all outlined so that they do have a way to sell it, or they do have something to sell when we go to pitch the signature program, right? And so
Mhm.
the whole promise of the bootcamp, or the bootcamp, has its own promise associated with it that is separate to the Live Launch Accelerator. So if you are going to do a challenge, that's what I've always seen work the best, is when there is a specific deliverable or result or outcome that people can get from your pop-up group, because then it's going to be a no-brainer for people. They show
Yep.
up, they get results, and then you have all these case studies to share when you go to do another one.
Yep. So that makes so much sense. So tell us how you keep that going for them. What do you do
Yes.
to keep them engaged? You give them homework. How are you getting them to show up and do the work?
Perfect. So, number one, we send out a schedule with all the dates. Everyone puts it into their Google Calendar. We have a shared calendar, right? So everyone is on in the loop. Next, we have registration sessions, which are team hosts, and people can come on. They learn how to use the portal, what dates are or what things are happening on what dates, where the replays can be found, how to download their blueprint,
That's
where to
smart.
ask questions, and so they feel fully seen, heard, and supported. Now, again, ours is paid, so we want to make sure that they feel like they're getting their value, right? And then there's two of us, like it's me and Josh hosting this. So I do mindset sessions first thing in the morning at 9 or 10 a.m. EST. And so I get people super hyped. And then I'm saying, like, in 10 minutes, Josh is starting his session. Here's what we're going to be talking about. This is where we get into like the nitty gritty, the strategy. And that's what people are really there for, of course. But the mindset gets them into, truthfully, if I'm being fully transparent, straight up honest, like my mindset sessions are done with a purpose, and it's to overcome objections. It's to get people primed and ready because we know we're going to make an offer. And so I try to center my mindset sessions around certain beliefs that I know are blocking people. And so it's all around the power of investing in yourself. It's all around the power of current beliefs and future beliefs. It's all around the power of like playing to win versus playing to not lose. And so I'm trying to set people up to leave their old limiting beliefs behind so that they can make the best decision for themselves if and when they choose to join the accelerator. So with Josh's session, every single session is built around the one-page blueprint. So every day he's tackling one piece of the blueprint. It's not like we're going like, here's a whole here's a whole mini course you have to do. Here's like a workbook. None of that. It's like one page blueprint. That's it. Today we are focusing on step 1 and step 2 of the blueprint, right? And then people go through the strategy with him. And then an hour after his session drops, or 90 minutes after his session ends, we have an action thread go live. And it's like, fill in your details that you took action on today from Josh's session with your blueprint. And they take a screenshot and they post it in the thread, and they ask a specific question if they feel like they're stumped. And then all of our coaches go in and just like hammer that thread so that people are feeling seen, heard, supported, acknowledged. They feel like they have clarity and are ready for the next day. And so we just try to set it up so
So
that
good.
they're taking action, they're implementing, and they're getting results, because that's the biggest thing for us.
And so first of all, what do you see that's the biggest resistance for people when you're teaching them something new? Is there a point where you feel people are going to drop off? Do you feel like the homework sometimes can be too intense?
Yeah.
What are some maybe pointers around that so people can stay with it the whole time?
I actually wrote down some things because a lot of people get stuck on this, right? Because most people think that you have to like give all the things, right? But that'll overwhelm the hell out of people. And if you overwhelm people with your content in the pre-launch
Oh
process,
my God.
right, you have cannibalized your offer, because it's not about teaching everything inside pop-up groups. It's teaching the what and the why, and the how is your offer. So when we're talking about what you want to do, for example, Course Creators Bootcamp, like we're talking about designing an offer, right? So what is the stuff that is going to go into your course? Why do we outline it this way, right? So it's what and why. In the accelerator, it's all the how. So we just stick with like, what are we going to be doing? What are we going to be teaching? Why are we teaching this? And I am going to say how is it helping someone move to the next step? right? And so there's no like, here's how you do it. Here's a tutorial. Here's this, here's that. None of that. It's light on content, but it's the content we do provide goes deep. Does that make sense? It's
Yeah.
not mad overwhelming. And the reason I say that is because we learned that lesson by doing it wrong.
Yeah.
One of our, I think it was like our third pop-up group we ever did, which was free, was called the Audience Accelerator. And the promise of that was grow your audience more in 30 days than you have in the last 3 months. And it was all how-to content for 30 days straight. And it overwhelmed the hell out of people. Like no matter what we did, we couldn't bring it back. We were posting catch-up playlists. We were hosting Q&As left, right, and center, but we had just done the damage within the first 2 weeks. And then we still had 2 more weeks until the offer even opened. And
Yeah.
so we just cannibalized the shit out of our promotion. And so anytime we are talking about pop-up groups, we always say like, even if you think, okay, I'm going to teach this, take another look at it and see what can I peel back? What isn't like mission critical for them to know in order for them to get a result? Like dial it back more than you think you need to,
Yep.
because it's already new to people. And so they're already going to have questions and they're already going to run into their own beliefs that are going to stop them. Can I really do this? Am I smart enough? Is anyone going to want this? Why would they want to work for me or with me? Will they really pay this much? I'm not techie enough. I'm too old. I'm too young. It's all the stuff that stops them, is all the beliefs they have about their lack of worthiness or their inability to do something,
Yep.
or their lack of finances or their lack of time. That's always what it comes down to in my experience. And so everything we do inside our pop-up groups is always trying to like bump them up, like help them through this, help them get wins. Like we're always like the whole vibe of our course creators bootcamp all the time. We're saying messy action, friends. You don't have to get it perfect. Messy action, make it happen, right? Like that's all we need to worry about. Just take messy action and figure it out later.
Yep.
All
And
you need to do is get it out there.
you're 100% right. And I want people to really hear this because I want to make sure that they hear that you and I are really saying the same thing. And I want to like sort of shine a light on it more, because I always say that you shouldn't hold information back, because information is it's out there anyway. And you don't have to worry about like, oh, well, I can't be so generous because then no one will buy my. I want to just make sure that 2 things are clear. Number one, that's not what she's saying.
Mhm.
She's saying you can be even more generous if you don't overwhelm them. That's number
Yes.
one. And number two, what I want people to get is that if you're taking a college class, I was just saying this to some people in my mastermind the other day, if you're taking a college class on advertising, the teacher, I remember taking a class in the communications department on advertising. The teacher was not saying like, go ahead, design a logo, come up with a brand, and like, let's talk about exactly how you're going to do it. Instead, he was throwing on the board case studies. Let's look at Nike. Let's look at Google. Let's look at Coca-Cola. Let's look at what they're doing. Let's look at why they're doing that. Why are they using that color? Why are they using that slogan? Why is this the way that this is? And you start to go, oh, you start observing it and understanding it. And then you start to move closer toward it. And you're exactly right. Once you start to show somebody the how, oh my God, that's when all their resistance is
all
going
the
to
limits,
right?
Yeah.
So if you were at USC Film School and you were looking to potentially apply, they're not going to say, all right, get behind that camera, go, get me this kind of shot, edit the film for me. Like you would never then apply for that. You go, oh, I'm horrible. I can't do any of this. Instead, they're going to show you the possibility, and they're going to show you what makes a great film, or they're going to show you why certain things stand out. And then they're going to say, that's what we will do here. But that process is, oof, right? That's an intense. It's going to require a lot.
And speaking to the generosity piece, or like, I won't feel generous if I'm not over delivering, you actually do people more of a disservice when you overwhelm them, because they get in their head, oh, I can't do this. I'm not smart enough. I don't get it. And they will just disengage. And that's the worst thing you could do, because you want to keep them engaged so that you can help them more. And so when you overwhelm people because you just want to serve, or over deliver, it's just about switching your perspective and saying, I can still over deliver and curate the content that I deliver so that it is received as as powerfully as possible, right? So that they can actually feel empowered to take action and get results. Because so often we think that we need to over deliver. That's really our own stuff coming up. Oh, I'm not good enough unless I, wow people and give them all the things. But it's not that at all. You actually have more of an impact on people when you empower them to take action and get results. And that is typically through curating the content you put in front of them.
This is really powerful because it really is a paradigm shift. And I
Mhm.
talk to so many people in our programs who feel not only what you just said, but also that they better keep the program small because they are required to almost do it for each client. So they
Mm,
need to have 6 people. They can't even imagine having a program with 100 people or 1,000 people because they feel obligated
yeah.
to get the person results, to do it for them. Can you explain how it really actually works in whatever program we're teaching, where we can let go of feeling responsible completely to do the work for people?
I cannot tell you how big of a struggle this was for me for years. Like even in my membership site or in our membership site, I had all the worthiness issues. Like I remember when Josh like busted me on it. He went through like this thread that was months long with this dude who just like wasn't taking action. And I would be like, Kevin, what can I do? Like, let me help you. Do you need me to write your copy for what? Like, it was a $69 a month membership. And I was like rewriting people's copy. I felt so on the hook for other people's results. And it was before I really understood the power of responsibility, self responsibility, empowering those people to have the responsibility to change their life. And that comes down, it's not content related, right? That is all inner game. And if you can help them shift their beliefs and their identity, how they see themselves. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. No one would like me enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not good enough on, whatever it is. If you can help them get that stuff out of the way, taking action and getting results on the content you provided in your course will be so much easier for them. And so, no, it's not about giving them all the things. It's about giving them exactly what they need, but helping them more so with the inner game, helping them remove the obstacles, the self placed obstacles that are keeping them right where they are, keeping them as they currently are instead of continuously evolving and stepping into a higher version of themselves. And that's really a delicate balance because it starts with us taking full responsibility, right? Like I can only do so much for people until it's on them, right? And so allowing myself to lean into that and be okay with that. I think I had a whole lot of like I know you just came back from Joe Dispenza, but he was like my gateway drug into all things identity and beliefs and all of that. I remember I listened to Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself 4 times because it was super dense. And I was like, what am I listening to right now? It was like one of my first books I ever read. And really his whole perspective of like, if you are not responsible for yourself, nothing outside of you can ever change your life. It all comes down to who you want to be and shifting your personal reality or what is it? Your personality becomes your personal reality, right? And so really diving into that. So helping your students in that respect, right? Like opening up Q&A sessions. I think Q&A sessions can be one of the best things you incorporate into pop-up groups, launches, bonuses, courses, all of that, because that's your chance to help them see the higher version of themselves and spot their blind spots, right? Because sometimes we're too close to something and we can't see it for ourselves. And so helping people move through those blocks that are keeping them stuck is one of the most powerful things you could do. And it has nothing to do with the course content you provide.
I mean, that was just such gold. That was amazing. And it's so, so true. He's a great example because I was just with him for 6 days and there was about 1,000 people there. And normally he has 2,000
Really?
people, but for social distance, they were very, very careful and it was beautiful how they did it actually. Some people were mad that like the hugging and the dancing wasn't happening anymore, but I still thought it was one of the most powerful things. And we were all outside on the beach. It was gorgeous.
Oh,
Anyways, so I looked at him and I watched and witnessed. I stood there and witnessed how he held space for 1,000 people without talking to 1,000 people, without
mm,
getting into each person's story. And I thought, you know why he's doing it? and he's able to do it successfully is because he's consistently reminding you that the truth lives inside of you.
Yeah.
You are the mystic, right? The divine is inside of you. And so what he's hoping to do is just help you find your own process, not that you need him. You're not dependent on
Mm.
him. And I think that what we need to sell people is a method, is something duplicable, replicable, rather than like, no, it's me. And if I don't do the work for you, I'm just letting, it's like a parent saying to the child, like, no, you need me to tie your shoes. You need me to get you dressed. You need me to feed you. It's like a good parent is showing them, I'm going to show you once or
Mhm.
twice and you're going to do it. And I believe in you and I'm going to empower you to figure this out and
Mm.
let go by just seeing the truth in them. Right. And really making sure you resonate there. I think that's really important. You just
I
said
think
something.
that,
I want to go ahead. I want to ask you a question about something you just said.
oh, no, please go ahead.
Well, you just said having Q&As. And that's
Mhm.
really interesting, Jill. You and I haven't even talked about this, but I'm for sure a big fan of creating intimacy. And so I've
Mhm.
moved away from webinars years ago, never liked it anyway. And I don't use any slides. I just kind of go live, but I do it
Yeah.
in a Facebook group. And it's
Yeah.
like it's just me and I see them in the chat. But
Yeah.
would you suggest that even like sweetening the deal might be seeing people's faces even in a launch and doing it on, even if it's like lots of people, but having them get a taste of interacting with
100%.
you? So
A Zoom
interacting.
meeting. Zoom meeting. And so we did this in two ways. One, so we have a VIP element to our boot camp, and that's done with Zoom meetings. And all of our Q&As, we have rules like you have to have your video on in VIP. Like if not, just leave and come back when you're ready, right? But if you ask a question, we're like unmute and ask so that we can have a conversation. We like that better. Now, also for if we were to do webbies and if you were to host it on Zoom meetings, then I'm all for, or even on Zoom webinars and just make someone a panelist and unmute them there. I was doing that on someone else's, in Gina's community, and it was on Zoom webinars, and they brought people on as like co-hosts or panelists or whatever, and they would unmute them. And I thought that was such a cool way of doing it. So I could have a quick, like rapid fire convo with them. I love bringing in any element of intimacy that we possibly can, even if it is just unmuting for 2 minutes for us to do a quick Q&A. And there's ways to structure it. You could be like, you have 2 minutes. So if you could use 30 seconds to state your question, then we can have 90 minutes, or excuse me, 30 seconds and then 90 seconds to jam on it. I think there's like restrictions or what's the word I'm looking for, like constructs in order for someone to have like make it scalable and
Yeah.
successful. But I'm all for weaving in intimacy wherever you can, and I'm all for people unmuting, showing their face, because we want people to feel seen, heard, and acknowledged, right? We want them to connect with us. I mean, you and I feel like we have very similar values and that we value connection. Like that is
Mm-hmm.
my number one core value. It's, oh, I took it down because I'm moving, but I used to have my screw the 9 to 5 values right here. And connection is number one. Connection, transformation, and results are our three biggest values. And it comes through stuff like this. Q&As, like unmuting, seeing people's faces, like getting the nuance of what they're trying to say and helping them through that. And I think it's such a, in the beginning for people, like it feels like, no, they don't want to work on their beliefs or their mindset. What they want is to blah, blah, blah. In my space, in your space, it's to make money, right? Like that's typically what people think they want the most. But what they need is stuff underneath that. And so our marketing plays to what they want. But when we over deliver in our courses or our coaching programs or our membership communities, whatever, we're giving them what they truly need. And that's a lot of the inner game work, helping them see things in a different light or from a different perspective, or help them realize, like, I don't know if you find this, but in my communities or in any of our experiences that we host, a lot of people think it isn't happening for them. Oh, this didn't work, so it's not happening for me. Or I thought it would be faster by now, so clearly it's not happening. And I was even just talking to a chick, I was over at her place the other day, and she's making a few $100,000. And she said, I just thought it would happen a lot faster. I was like, you're seeing it wrong though. It is happening. It is happening. It's in the process of happening right now. It's just you are choosing to focus on it not happening. But if you could zoom out, because most people think it's not happening because they're in it, right? They're in it, they can't see it. But if you could zoom out, you would see it's happening faster and more beautifully than you could have ever imagined, right? So it is happening. It's just sometimes everything we want requires a certain level of capacity or skill set or operations, right? And so it's calling us to expand into that level. And so what you are getting right now, even if it doesn't feel like it's a lot, it's a reflection of your current capacity and what you can handle, 6 customers at a time, or, 100 people in your pop-up. That is your current energetic capacity level or your operational capacity level. And it's calling you to expand into the next level and realize, oh shit, it is all happening, but I'm just currently limiting myself by my current capacity and my focus on it not happening. Does that make sense?
Oh my God, that was so brilliant. That could be a book. That's so good. It is.
Write it down.
It's so good. It's to the extent that we are allowing this ourselves to have the capacity to hold it. And it's okay, because there are moments where you realize you want more and then you go, oh my God, but I only spent $16 on Facebook ads. So of course I had 9 people in the challenge and 3 people showed up. So that's reflecting now I'm ready to spend $37 to get the word out more. Or I realize I probably should have 1 support person at this point, because if I want more than 49 people to enroll, it's probably because I need to play a bigger game.
I'm the bottleneck.
Yes. And so, and give yourself a break. Like, you can only be where you are, right? And then you wake up to it and you're ready to expand. And I love what you just said. So let's talk about the expansion of the challenge. So you go through the pop-up and then it comes time for the offer, right? It comes time for the offer. Do you do that on day 4 or day 5?
Well, my friend Stacy just said, you should pitch on day 4. And I was like, what?
That's what I do.
You pitch on day 4?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're smart too. No, I never thought to do that. Well, I knew you were brilliant before, but I didn't know on day 4. I never thought to do that. We actually, what we were doing, and I'm just like, this is why I love doing the same thing over and over, because it allows you to get better and better and better at the same thing, right? But what we were doing was 5 days plus a pre-party. So 6 days of content, then bonus training. Then the second bonus training was our pitch. So we were essentially teaching for 8 days before making a pitch. And so now we're like, we could nix the final 2 bonus days and pitch on day 5. And if we really wanted to be stealthy, we'd figure out how to pitch on day 4. But just with Josh's current content lineup, I don't know how that would work, but I'm so open to that idea. And another thing I wanted to say is, when we are talking about really how do we communicate our content, or how do we deliver our content, or we don't want to overwhelm people, I think the biggest thing to think about when you are figuring out what your bootcamp or your pop-up or your challenge is going to be about is think about what is the first domino people need to, or what's the biggest domino or biggest obstacle, the biggest reason people would say no to my main offer. What is that obstacle or belief or hiccup or domino that I need to knock over so that it's a hell yes when I go to present my offer? And so that's why, again, just reverse engineering, what's my main play? My main play is my signature offer. Okay, what can I make my pop-up or my challenge that is congruent to that, but agitates the gap, right? So it gives them a micro result, right, through your promise of your pop-up, but then it agitates the gap from where they are to where they want to be, right? So for example, with CCB, our bootcamp and our accelerator, well, they have their offer designed, but they don't know how to sell it. And that's where the live launch accelerator comes in. So we agitate that gap. And when you can really find a sweet spot with that, your conversions will just start clocking.
That makes so much sense. And that's such a brilliant question. What is the thing that they need to knock down? What's the barrier in the way for them to be ready to surrender to this process so that they can take this offer that I'm about to give them? So when you go to offer it, what I find is I feel like I frustrate my students so much, because I'm like, what's the promise when you go to pitch? And they're like, the promise. And then it's 9 sentences. And I'm like, I need that so clear. I want you to tell me
9 words,
right? This program does this. How do you help people succinctly, clearly? What should we do? What questions should we ask ourselves? How should we approach that? And how come it's so important? How come it's so important? And how do we do it to get that promise clear?
Because when you're communicating with someone, you want it to be snappy, right? Short and snappy. For Screw the 9 to 5, before I really came into the 7-word intro, I think it's called. I can't remember who coined that, but I think it was Clay Hebert or something. Anywho, it just cuts down the wordiness. And for me, that's a big deal because I'm a talker and I'm a rambler. And so I'll be like, you know what? Screw the 9 to 5 is it's an online destination for course creators and coaches and some membership site owners who want to blah. And I'm like, what am I talking about? We help people quit their jobs, right? That's what they want to do when they come to screw the 9 to 5, right? And so, and I get that this will take a minute for people to like weed out the wordiness. But if you can fall into the I help who your ICA is, have, create, do, experience, outcome, that's a great place to start. And then you can even add in a tagline of like without or with or without having to, whatever it is. But the short and snappier, the better, especially now it's super noisy. People are distracted. Like we need to get their attention and make it quick, make it sexy and make it quick.
So
many jokes that I could go down there.
Yes, you could. So once you go down that path and you start to share the promise and the cart is open, what are the things that are really important to keep in mind so that people will buy into the offer?
Number one, clear result. Like, what are you going to get when you join this? Number two, bonuses. Bonuses are this underutilized like gem for sales, right? Because a lot of people think what they're buying is the course, but what will really get them to say yes is the bonuses. And how we use bonuses is by turning the objections into bonuses. And so people who feel as though they don't have time, right? How to like maybe the cliff notes or the fast track or, ways to get more done in less time. If it's money, how to make your investment back or how to double your sales in 30 days or whatever, how to make $1,000 in your first 30 days of this course or whatever it's going to be, right? Then worthiness. Can I really do this? Well, maybe we have coaching calls so that we can help people facilitate those breakthroughs, or there's hot seats, or like one of our bonuses inside the accelerator is a call with one of our coaches, because we know that when people come out of the accelerator, they're like, okay, great. I feel fired up. I've got my plan. I've got all these things. I've been working on my funnel. Like, oh my God, can I really do this? What happens if I don't? What happens if my ads don't convert? Oh my God, what happens if my husband doesn't get it? What happens if people chirp me online? What happens if this? What happens if this? We're like, let's get on a call with a coach and let us help you work through this. So we have money bonuses, time bonuses, and worthiness bonuses. And then this might differ for people who are not in the business space or, anything to do with finances or self-improvement, self-development, money, any of that kind of stuff. But pay attention to what your audience is saying that they currently struggle with when you go to present your offer. And then you can drop mid-cart bonuses like, you know what, you guys have been saying that you're struggling with blah, blah, blah. And so I decided to create blah, 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 or drop a final day bonus, right? And so that can help you turn so many no's into yeses way more easily than you think. And then my final piece of that, when you are opening the cart is, or even mid cart, is I used to do decision support calls. And this is for people who are on the fence, who are like, I think this is the right fit for me, but I've, done a million courses and I'm coursed out, or I've been burnt before, or I've tried it and it didn't work, or I don't know if my husband will support this, or whatever it's going to be. Right. And so we hop on these calls, they're 15 to 20 minutes, and it's just about getting them off the fence. And it's not about me like selling them into it. It's me just holding space for them to make the best decision for them. And if that's not to join, then that's cool too. It's just indecision is a decision. And so I try to help people just make a choice that feels good to them, whether it's yes or no.
That is powerful. I told you guys that you were going to love her. This is so good.
I just have to say, so many peeps from your community have reached out saying that they were excited for this session. So I just your crew is just so sweet and loving. And I appreciate that in such a big way. And I'm just appreciate them cheering me on in such a big way.
They are the best, and you deserve to be around the best because you're like that.
You're like that.
You're like that.
You are. I love you more. No, I love you more. No, I love you more.
She's so cute.
You hang up first. No, you hang up first.
You're schmoopy. So the thing is that people have a really hard time with this part, with the money part, with receiving the money part. And as soon as somebody has an objection, Jill, they're like, okay, then it's horrible. I can't,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for breathing. I'm so sorry I didn't put an offer out there. So I want to ask you a question for each side of that. When we are starting to feel like we're backpedaling because our worthiness is coming up, what's that about? And how do we get over that so that we can actually sell?
Definitely something that you learned in childhood. 100%. That stuff always, most of the time, comes from an experience you had that you unconsciously made true, right? So money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. It's bad to sell. People like entrepreneurs are scammers. There's not more where that came from. Hard work equals success. It's hard to make money. All of those beliefs that so many of us were brought up with because our parents just, first off, I don't even think like self-awareness was really that much of a thing when our parents were growing up, right? And they came from harder times. And so they weren't as tuned in, tapped in, turned on as a lot of us, right?
They
And
didn't
so,
model this expansion of abundance
no,
mentality necessarily.
no.
Yeah.
They're like, expansion, what now? No. That was for hippies and stuff like that. So I think acknowledging the fact that you don't have to believe that as truth. Like you do not have to make that a capital T truth for you anymore, but it starts with you becoming aware of where's this coming from? Like, what is the underlying belief that is tripping me up here? Because I promise you, it's not something just like, oh, I just feel off about this. No, it is absolutely from something. And so figuring out like, why do I believe this? And once you come up with that, okay, but why do I believe that? Once you come up with the answer, okay, so where does that come from? And just dwelling down until you find it. I remember this came up for me around receiving. And I know I can't see the comments, but how many of you have ever had an experience where, you're out for dinner or drinks or coffee or sushi with a friend or whatever it is, and they go to pick up the check and you're like, no, please don't, like, let's split it, or I've got it. Please don't take their credit card. And you push it away. Right. And we have such a hard time receiving from our friends. And when that behavior bleeds into our business, like if you cannot accept money from a friend, how the F are you going to accept money from a stranger? Right. And so really delving into that, like, why do I feel obligated to be like, no, please don't pay for me. Please don't do that. Please no. Where does that come from? Because I promise you that is tripping you up when it comes to sales, because most people think selling is bad or it's inappropriate during 2020 or whatever it is, but selling is serving. And when you can make that shift, because truly when people pay, they pay attention. I know we've all heard that, but it's so true. Like that transformation happens when they have skin in the game, and people don't value free. So if you're ever saying like, well, if I really wanted to help people, I would do it for free. That is the biggest disservice you could do for people, because they will not value it and they will not take action because they got it for free. And so
that's such an important rant. And there were two very important parts of it. And the second piece I'm just going to talk about because you just said it. But when Seth Godin was here last week,
I loved that interview you did with him.
Did.
PS.
Oh, thank you.
You're a fantastic interviewer. I just have to say.
You're a fantastic everything. But thank you. No, I was like bawling at one point.
Receive it, please.
No, it was so good. But I loved how he said that. We talked about this a little bit too. And then he said, the statistics for us show that the people we give scholarships to in our program are 5 times more likely to not show up.
Yes.
Do the work. And he's like, so I've realized I thought I was helping people and I'm actually keeping them stuck. Yeah. So that's really interesting. The other piece of what you said is of course very true. There's a worthiness to receiving. And then here's the thing that I think is buried behind it. I wanted to hear what you have to say about it. I think there's also a shame. What if I fail? What if I take your money and I don't get you the results? And so I'm scared. I'm scared of failing. I'm curious what you would say about that, because it's a big thing to say, here's a promise, right? Put yourself right on the hook.
For sure. But how else are you going to learn what to do though? If you don't learn what not to do? Like, I just think so many times people think, no, I have to have all the answers right away. But I'm not saying promise the moon. Like, make a promise that you can deliver on, right? And do whatever it takes to serve your audience. Like that's, if you are going to charge like 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, whatever for your program, show up for those people. And if they have questions, do another Q&A for them. Like go above and beyond for your customers. We're not talking about freebie seekers. We're talking about the lifeblood of your business. And yes, you might fall on your face and you might fail, but I think people view failing in the beginning, at least, as so terrible. Like you are a failure. You are not cut out to do this. It is bad. You are bad. You are dumb. But all failing is the most insane data rich stream of information you could ever have in your business, because it causes you to look at things. It causes you to pull things out and be like, what went wrong there? Or how can I make this better? Or why didn't people get the results that I thought they would? What could I tweak? What could I expand on? What could I delve deeper into? What other bonuses could I create? Do I need to reposition this? It's never like game over if you don't get it perfect in the beginning. That's why messy action is so powerful, because it gives you the clarity to take the next step. And then by taking messy action on the next step, then you have the clarity to take the next step. And it's this ever evolving process of rocking people's worlds. That doesn't always happen straight out of the gate. I think a lot of people think it has to happen like that, but no one starts that way. Like I remember taking one of Amy Porterfield's programs in 2013. I can't even remember what it was about, or excuse me, I can't even remember what it was called, but it was all about ads. That program, night and day to what Digital Course Academy looks like now. Like her teaching style, her slide style, the depth of the content, night and day from what she does now inside DCA. And she's one of the queens, right? Like she is one of the go-tos in this space. She did not start that way. She stumbled and iterated and took feedback and made things better. And she's still doing that with DCA, right? Like every time I talk to her about her program, she's saying, I'm doing this to make this better. And I got this feedback from these people. And, like all of us are constantly iterating. Even in Slack, we have a channel dedicated to updates we can make to our offers, because we just keep running the same thing over and over. And I think that's powerful for a lot of personal brands, especially, is you go all in on one offer and you do it over and over. You're so good at this, Kath. Like you pick one offer, you do it over and over again. And because you get this rhythm with it, you start to spot, oh, I could seriously improve that. Or I could make this tweak to make this sync up better. Or I could add this bonus in to help them overcome this objection. But that only comes from doing it over and over again and getting better and better and better as you go, because you do not have just one chance, right? The only time that you're out of the game is when you count yourself out. And I think just keeping that in mind and being okay with getting it wrong so you could learn how to get it right is the only way that you'll really smash it and knock it out of the park.
That's so brilliant. That's so important. We should all just keep listening to those words, because I mean, the truth is you're never going to have this like little certificate that tells you you're the best,
Yeah.
or like you're absolutely ready to do what you're doing. And you're not going to win because you're ready or because you're the best. You're going to win because you're generous and you're invested in the person you're helping getting to where they need to go. And that counts for a lot. It counts for a lot. And, that's like saying, when Howard Schultz opened the very first Starbucks, which was actually a little kiosk, that like he never should have done it because he was just brand new at it. And the Frappuccinos weren't nearly as good. He didn't have as many syrup options. And so he shouldn't have started there because he has nothing to offer unless he's perfect. He has nothing to offer. And leadership, real leadership, which is what we all want to be. What you want to be a leader in your home. You want to be a leader in your community. You want to lead. You want to be somebody who is on the hook, who shows up. Well, that requires letting go of shame so that when you fall and trip, you can just be accountable for it. I mean, I think we've seen that so many times in the world. There's been so many moments now where celebrities, maybe they say the wrong thing or they do the wrong thing. And what people want is like, just apologize. Like, just say, just own it and just be like, you know what? I said that
I
15
messed
years
up.
ago. And like, I shouldn't have said that. It's
Yeah.
like, but when they don't own it, what they're saying is, I have so much shame that
Yes.
I have to deny this thing. Right. So it's like, no, just say it, like when everything went down with Bill Clinton, it was like, just say, like,
Yeah.
here's what happened. You know what I mean? Like, for the love of God, just, you're flawed. You're
Yeah.
flawed. We know you're flawed. Just come out with it.
I
So
think that's the thing for people. They don't want to be seen. They're scared of being vulnerable, right? Because you get into this mode of like people pleasing, but all that is trying to control how people view you.
yeah,
And then you're
shame. It goes
never,
back to
yes,
shame.
that's so
Yeah.
true. That's so
And
true.
so I love you. And I love what you just shared about Amy, because it's like, imagine if I was thinking about this the other day. I started, Jill, I can't believe it. It's how much has happened. It's like a rocket launcher in 5 years, right? I started songwriting 12 years ago, but then I started teaching in any capacity 5 years ago in my living room to 10 songwriters. And I had notes and I blew my hair out. Here I am today, like showing up, talking to you, doing it's such a different, but and I was like 10 people in my living room, and then it grew to the next thing. And I rented this little theater, and then from there, and then eventually I got online. And I just think about, like, thank God, right? Because the people who I showed up for, and you know what? I did help a bunch of those people. I did help a bunch of those people. That's like, and but then as a result of being willing to start where I was, I grew and grew and grew. And now I can do more things. And I'm sure I'll look back at this and be like, oh, like now, 10 years from now, I'm so much more dialed in, but it is what it is. And I think we have to realize that connection and generosity goes a long way. So I was curious to ask you, when you do sell your program, how much of what you're selling is the implementation and the I'm here to help you with this process, and how much of it is just the straight up how and the information?
In the boot camp or the live launch
When you
accelerator?
go to actually sell the actual program, when you're selling the promise, how much of you is selling the I'm here to help you through it versus here's a bunch of videos or how to content?
The whole offer for the live launch accelerator is us doing it with you, because it's a 2-week program. That's it. And then we have 3 months for free inside our membership, which has our coaches in it, and we facilitate like co-working sessions and all that kind of stuff. But the live launch accelerator is an accelerated program, and it is all done with you. So it's Josh and the coaches for most of the days, walking through the strategy, doing as much Q&A as they possibly can. Like, he'll stay on for hours to answer everyone's questions because he wants people taking action. And again, we facilitate co-working sessions with that. So people jump on with our coaches and they do the work. We do Pomodoro style productivity sessions with 25 minutes, heads down, doing one task, 5-minute break to recap what everyone did, and then go another round. We do those for 90 minutes. And so all of it is centered around taking action. And so it's like session, and then we have a Pomo right after it. Session, Pomodoro right after it.
What does that mean, Pomodoro? What does that mean?
Like a co-working session where we run these 25 minutes on one task, break, recap what we did, say what we're going to do next, another 25 minutes, heads down, working on one task, because everyone in there is working on the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so we compartmentalize it essentially. In every day we're working on one thing. And so we do the things and then we go actually take action on it. And so, and then the second week is all Q&A, hot seats, and Pomodoro sessions.
It's so good. I loved your answer. You're like, that is what we're selling, is we're doing 100%. It with you. I 100% agree. And I think I want to make one point really clear too, which is why I think what we just said is not even the whole story, which is that whatever it is we're teaching, whether we're teaching someone how to make croissants, or we're teaching someone how to style hair, or we're teaching somebody how to create a course.
Your examples are the best.
Aren't they though?
They are croissants.
But whatever we're teaching anyone to do, they will get it by doing the steps.
Yes.
They'll get their own clarity. They'll figure it out like on their own. So our job really is just to get them to do the work, and then trust that they're going to get their only epiphanies and clarity really from their own process, from wrestling with themselves, from actually doing it, getting on the bike, and then starting by the 4th time to feel what balance feels like. But they can only get that from getting on the bike. And so that's part of why you're really not responsible in the end. You're responsible to hold the space and
Yeah.
do everything you can to keep showing a possibility. And I'll do it with you. I'll do it
Yeah.
with you. I'll do it with you. When you think about what does a guitar teacher do with you, or a tennis teacher, they're standing there to practice with you.
Yeah.
Like they're just standing
Exactly.
there to like help you implement, right?
They
Because the
teach you a
steps are
chord and they're
simple.
like, okay, now you
Exactly.
play the chord.
Exactly. Because you could
That's
learn those chords on the internet, but if you have a teacher, he or she is sitting there with you, as you do it. So I love that you just said that. I love that you're doing these co-working sessions. So tell us where we can find you and follow you and be more with you.
Yeah, screwthe9to5.com is the easiest way, all spelt out, no numbers. Or if you want to just like creep on MGC, I'm launching that in January, and that's over at millionairegirlsclub.com.
Thank you for being my friend.
Thank you for being my friend and being the light that you are in this world. I don't think you're a good receiver, but sometimes you're like, no, you're the best, but you are the fucking best. Oh, sorry. You are the effing best.
I love you. Thank you
And
for everything that you do. And you're just so awesome. Like you're just so down to earth. Like when you first meet Jill, you're like, she's so pretty. There's no way she's going to be so nice. And then she's so nice and so adorable. And it's like, you don't know that you're like Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway. I've never got that one. I
Like,
always get Rachel McAdams.
you're all of those. You're the leading lady. So done. Thank you for coming on
I
and
love
being
you.
with us, and to be continued. Wasn't she great? So do me a favor, take a screenshot right now of gorgeous Jill. You can take it with both of us.
Both of us. Hey.
Get the flowers in there. And if you loved this, then give her some love. Go to Instagram and post it and tag her, and you can tag me, and we'll both do some reposts and we'll say hi. So you can follow her there. What are you? Are you Screw the 9 to 5 on?
Yeah. Yeah, all spelt out, no numbers.
Okay, cool. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for being my friend.
You're awesome.
Thanks for
Bye,
having me.
guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.